leaders of nations, leaders of leaders, architects of industry, and citizens of Earth. We gather here, not at the end of an era, but at the threshold of one, not to debate what has been, but to define what will be. For centuries, humanity has operated within systems designed for survival, systems built in times of scarcity, fear, and fragmentation. We created economies rooted in limitation, institutions built on control rather than alignment, infrastructure designed for a world that no longer exists. And now, those systems are showing their limits. Not because humanity has failed, but because humanity has indeed evolved. Today, I present to you not an idea, but a framework, not a theory, but a structure, a comprehensive model for the advancement of civilization, the New Earth Doctrine. The New Earth Doctrine is not a belief system. It is not a religion. It is not bound to culture, nation, or ideology. It is a universal operating system, a structured pathway that aligns human development, economic systems, infrastructure, and consciousness with the reality of an abundant and interconnected world. This doctrine is built upon 9 volumes, 9 pillars that together form a complete transformation of how humanity lives, builds, governs, and prospers. Volume 1, The Age of Alignment, establishes the foundation that most people try to skip. A world cannot become stable if the individuals within it are unstable. Alignment is not a philosophy. It is a requirement. Your thoughts, your actions, and your intentions must operate in coherence. I have seen 2 individuals given the same opportunity, standing in the same environment with access to the same resources. One moved with discipline, clarity, and responsibility. The other moved with reaction, blame, and inconsistency. Over time, their outcomes separated so drastically that it appeared as though they were living in 2 different realities. But they were not. They were operating under different levels of alignment, and that is where the separation of outcomes always begins. Volume 2, Intelligent Infrastructure, takes this internal alignment and expands it outward, because even the most disciplined individual cannot thrive in a broken system. The environments we build either elevate people or limit them. Look at the world around you. We sit in traffic not because movement is impossible, but because systems are inefficient. We experience shortages not because resources are unavailable, but because distribution is indeed flawed. We accept friction as normal, when in reality, it is simply poor design. The New Earth replaces friction with flow. It builds cities that think, systems that adapt, and infrastructure that anticipates rather than reacts. Volume 3, Cosmic Governance, asks a deeper question. How do we organize ourselves in a way that actually works? Governance today is reactive. It waits for problems, then responds. But true governance operates or functions like the human body. It regulates continuously, adjusts constantly, and maintains balance through awareness. This is where humanity evolves into a unified system, what I have defined as the human one-body species, where individuals understand that their actions impact the whole. When one part weakens, the whole feels it. When one part strengthens, the whole rises. Volume 4, Interplanetary Expansion, reminds us that Earth is not our limit, but it also delivers a warning. Expansion without alignment is chaos on a larger scale. If we cannot manage ourselves here, our discipline, our systems, our responsibilities, then expanding outward will not elevate us. It will expose us. But when alignment is established, expansion becomes natural, not forced, earned. Volume 5, Abundance and Financial Evolution, corrects one of the greatest misunderstandings ever taught to humanity, that money is wealth. Money is only a tool. Wealth is structure. And history has shown us what happens when this truth is ignored. There was once a man, Cornelius Vanderbilt, who built one of the greatest fortunes the modern world had ever seen. He built it through discipline, strategy, and an understanding of systems. But what followed is the lesson. The wealth did not vanish instantly, but its power, its structure, and its dominance began to dissolve across generations. Not because of fate, but because what was inherited was not understood. The next generations had access to money, but not the mindset that created it. They shifted from builders to consumers, from discipline to comfort, from structure to indulgence. And over time, what was once powerful became fragmented. We have seen this pattern repeated across history. The first generation builds, the second enjoys, the third forgets. And when structure has forgotten, wealth cannot survive. That is why abundance must begin internally. If you are unstable, money amplifies instability. If you lack discipline, money exposes it. If you lack awareness, you will misuse it. Spiritual abundance, clarity, stability, discipline must come first. Only then does monetary abundance become sustainable. Volume 6, Integrated Awareness, addresses perception itself. Higher awareness is not something mystical or distant. It is clarity. It is the ability to see patterns, understand consequences, and make decisions based on long-term outcomes rather than short-term emotions. A person without awareness reacts. A person with awareness responds. And that difference determines the direction of their life. Volume 7, The Evolution of the 12 Critical Industries, grounds everything into reality. Because ideas do not shape the world, systems do. Energy, transportation, health, education, finance, housing, agriculture, technology, justice, security, urban development, human development. These industries define how humanity lives. If they remain outdated, humanity remains limited. But when they evolve, when they become intelligent, integrated, and aligned, the world transforms rapidly. The future will not be decided by those who speak the loudest. It will be decided by those who build the systems people rely on every day. Volume 8, The Great Transition, answers the most important question. How do we move from the old world to the new? Not through force, not through collapse, but through performance. The new system does not need to destroy the old. It only needs to work better. When people experience greater efficiency, greater opportunity, and greater stability, they adopt it. Quietly at first, then steadily, then all at once. And now, the final volume, the one most civilizations have failed to understand. Volume 9, The Age of Eternal Continuity and Legacy Systems. Because building a system is not enough. Sustaining it is everything. History is filled with empires, families, and institutions that rose to unimaginable heights, only to fall. Not because they lacked intelligence, not because they lacked wealth, but because they lacked continuity. They failed to preserve the mindsets that created their success. They passed down resources, but not responsibility. Access, but not awareness. Wealth, but not discipline. And without those, everything eventually decays. Volume 9 ensures that what is built does not collapse with time. It establishes systems of knowledge preservation, mindset transfer, structural governance, and discipline enforcement across generations. It transforms families into legacy systems, communities into continuity networks, and civilization into something that no longer resets every century, but evolves continuously. In the new earth, the pattern changes. The first generation builds, the second expands, the third innovates. And the cycle does not decline, it ascends. Because continuity is protected, because structure is preserved, because discipline is maintained. And now, the doctrine is complete. For now. Always changing. Across all 9 volumes, one truth remains constant. If you cannot discipline your mind, no system will save you. If you cannot manage your emotions, no opportunity will sustain you.
The shift has begun. Alignment is no longer optional.
From the heart of the sun, a chosen light rises. The child of the sun.
There comes a moment when presence alone shifts the world.
Harmony, compassion, justice, not ideals. The foundation of what comes next.
Said I was crazy because they couldn't see what I see. I'm making a difference. I finally see it. The world is ready, and I was made for this.
I am a chosen one. I am a chosen one. A divine being of light of all mankind.
And the definitive enforcer of the universe's advancements for the betterment of all mankind.
For the betterment of all mankind.
One by one, they awaken. Heart steady, purpose clear, synchronize. They are no longer awakening. They are now activated.
Delegates from across the globe are in Geneva tonight for the first Global Orbital Stability Summit. They're seeking a binding agreement on space traffic coordination and debris mitigation. Here's...
For those who lead a covenant sealed in honor, fidelity, and purpose. The standard is higher.
Where purpose meets precision. Learn, certify, lead. The portal of divine awakening, the command center for conscious leadership.
Is declining, but humanity's search for God is rising. This is not the end. This is the beginning of cosmic governance. A structure becomes a planet becomes a network, and that network becomes the conscience of our species. We build paths for those who will follow.
Standards, certification, innovation. The future will be verified.
What if science was only half the equation? Arcane Collegium, expanding knowledge beyond the visible.
Something is changing. The systems you know are no longer enough. A new structure is being built. Alignment, abundance, evolution, continuity. Enter and begin.